This podcast is powered by As Always Entertainment. If you enjoy this content, consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/asalways. Other than to support this show for just $1 a month or more, you get access to over 50 exclusive episodes of the Kill Connor Clubhouse podcast that release every week the Kill Connor Club podcast isn't on. You also get a week's early access to the Spoilercast show, The Cinema Room, and plenty of cool perks such as being part of polls for future videos on our channels, as well as other early access material. With that said, please enjoy the podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Cinema Room podcast, the Spoilercast podcast where we talk about movies, video games and TV shows. I'm one of your hosts, Tyler, joined as always by James. How's it going, my friend?
How's it going, gamer? As always, we're here.
We're not gamers, we're film critics.
Sorry, fuck's sake. Film connoisseurs.
Oh my
Hello.
Yeah, film connoisseurs.
Fellow film connoisseurs.
Film connoisseurs. I'm great, fellow film connoisseur. I'm going well.
Brilliant.
Today, in this episode, ladies and gentlemen, the two epic film connoisseurs you've got in your ears right now, James and myself, will be talking about Thor, the first Thor movie, and obviously a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, if you haven't seen it, or for some reason, or you haven't, or you want to watch it again, watch along while you listen to this, or go watch it now and then come back and listen to this. And as well, if you like this sort of thing, and you're like, wow, these are a couple just great epic film connoisseurs. I want to listen to more of this even earlier than I'm listening to it right now. Well, that's great because you can a week early over on patreon.com/as always. So if you like what you're listening to here, the Cinema Room podcast releases 1 week early to Patreon, as well as you get exclusive access to the Kill Connor Clubhouse podcast over on patreon.com/as always. That helps power this show. It wouldn't exist without Patreon. So thank you, of course, to our Patreon producers, King Richard III, Ikraik, Seth, and Josh Devillier. But we're going to go through the list, James, of our sweet vintage lads. A few of them as well that make this podcast happen. So that, again, is King Richard III, Ikraik, Seth, Ballsack47, Josh Devillier, Damian, Billy the Team Tynamite Captain Robertson, Tman or Travis, KEMOSABE Gamer, Casey Wood, Adam Sundling, Alfie Rowsell, Jamie the Gamer, Smexy Dork, Lumistrad, Mario 5380, Layla Out, Viridian, Pink Flame 313, ArunWyn, Fuck Cuck, Nib, Brendon or BQ Overlord, Ravjar, Julie, Prudhvi Muvva, Oscar, James and Lad, Connor Durose Bully in the Alley, Zahir, Gene, Son of a Bitch Ogeaidogo, Lauren, Dammit Glenn, Furious Coco, the ACMJS, Stelter R. Rodriguez, Kassassin, Kyle, Sandor, S. Jaws, Kyle Marvel, Marcus Blackburn, Emil Katborg, Josh Omora, Ginko Swag, Andrew Kotana, fucking Jesus Christ, Mass the Bass 2434, Joe the Sexy Boi Smith, Ulsterco 91, H-Barts 12, I Got Lumbago, The Real Jaw Raptor, Alfie Rodbert, Brian Ford, Casper, Milk Boy, Fishy, or Ethan, and Andrew Martinez. There are a few names I had to skip through because their payments declined. I've messaged all you boys, so get your payments fucking sorted, even though I think it's Patreon that fucked it up, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
true. I've
true.
messaged a few people. So I didn't read off a few names that I normally read off, and it fucked up my whole reading of the list because I had to skip things.
That's true. That might get sorted out in the coming weeks, though.
It usually does. It usually takes...
start to say process.
Yeah, it usually takes a week because I messaged everyone whose payments declined, and a few of them go like, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with from my end." So I think it's a Patreon thing. It usually is a Patreon thing, anyway.
Yeah. All right.
9 times out of 10. But yeah, there we are. Welcome to another episode of the Cinema Room. Talking about Thor, James. Did you actually watch Thor, or are you just going off memory?
I did watch Thor. No, I did watch Thor. It was a couple of days ago though, because I've been rewatching the MCU. I started my rewatch a while ago. Currently up to... I watched Winter Soldier last night. So it was a while back that I watched Thor, but I watched it. So it's fresh in the brain, sort of. Yeah,
and obviously spoilers for all the MCU. Even though we're talking about Thor today, I'm sure we will make references to other things. So spoiler warning for all the MCU. I've slowly been watching from the start, but I've skipped around a bit. I've just kind of been watching just MCU in general over the last couple of months. Mostly before Captain Marvel, but I've been showing my parents the MCU.
Yeah, okay.
They'd seen the whole first phase. Like, they'd seen Thor and Iron Man's and the first Avengers movie and stuff like that. Even my mum had seen the second Avengers movie. My mum's seen a few more than my dad had seen because I think my brother's shown her stuff or whatever, but... I was like, all right, well, I know you've seen the first Avengers movie, and they hate rewatching shit. They're not people that sit down and rewatch shit and, like, are into all that stuff. But they love Iron Man. They just love Robert Downey Jr. My mum loves Robert Downey Jr. So I was like, all right, well, I want you to watch the best ones of the Captain America movies. Let's watch. I showed him a First Avenger, just 5-minute recap, and I showed them the Winter Soldier when I started watching movies with them. Winter Soldier was the first one, and my dad loved it because it was just a solid action movie. My mum was like, yeah, it was fine, but my mum's not really into comic book movies.
Sure.
And then we went to Age of Ultron. My mum didn't like it at all. She's like, that's boring. It's just
That's
fine.
fair.
There's no real plot.
That's
and I was
fair.
like, fair enough. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But then I was like, come on, give it one more chance. After this, I wanted to get them up to Civil War. That's what I wanted to get them up to.
Yeah.
And we watched Ant-Man, and my mum loves Paul Rudd. Both my parents love Paul Rudd. So they was like, oh, my mum's like, can I watch the next Ant-Man? I'm like, no, we got to get up to the next Ant-Man. So she was like, it was okay. Like, she liked Ant-Man. She wasn't like raving about it, but she was like, oh, no, that was good.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, just, can we watch Captain America 3? And she's like, I don't want to. I didn't like the last Avengers movie. I don't want to. And I was like, please, just watch this. And I sat down and watched Civil War with my mum and dad, and they both really liked it. They were like, my mum's like, this is so much better. There's actual plot. Like, there's things going on. I was like, yeah, well, this is the best. This is the best one. And they really liked it. But my mum goes, she fucking hated Iron Man. By the end, she's like, I hate this movie. I loved Iron Man. Now I hate him. And she literally goes, he's a cunt. Fuck him. Like, the whole movie. She's like, fucking idiot, you dick. Like, my mum's like me. Like, in terms of she'll just talk mad shit. So she was like yelling at the TV when things are happening. She's like, that's because you're a fucking idiot, Iron Man. Fuck you. Like, she was so pissed off.
Funny.
She was so mad. I was like, see, I told you, Captain America's the best. She's like, I like Ant-Man, he's funny. I don't really care about Captain America, but fuck Iron Man. She was just more mad at Iron Man than she was liking Captain America.
That's great.
But yeah, that's what I'm up to with my parents. And yeah, I promised my mum I'd watch Bohemian Rhapsody with her if she watched Civil War. So I'm like, oh, God, okay. So I've got to watch that next before they'll watch like Infinity War or anything. But yeah, I'm trying to get them up to date. That's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Great.
But in that, watch Thor.
That's epic.
Watch Thor.
Yeah.
The epic movie we're about to talk about.
Yeah, it's so good.
Unfortunately, not talking about Winter Soldier or Civil War. That'd be nice.
No. We're talking about Thor, though, so really that's better, if anything.
That's true. That is better.
Yeah.
That's a better film.
It is. Much better.
So to kick it off, James, with the first Thor movie, watching it back now, where does Thor stand for you? And has it changed at all from the first time you saw it? Is it better or worse over time, would you say?
This is something I noticed. Well, leading up to Infinity War last year, I rewatched the whole MCU. My thoughts on Thor, because I always thought Thor was a solid movie. I was like, this movie's a good time. Like, I like it. It's much better than Dark World. Like, it's a good movie, right? I rewatched it last year, and my opinion changed greatly. Because I've found, and rewatching it recently has sort of solidified it, it's a fucking weird movie. It feels so fucking weird. There's some parts that I love, which is like Thor and Loki. Their whole scene at the end is fantastic. Their like confrontation in the Bifrost thingy. That's really, really great, and I love that whole sequence and their dialogue. It's written really well, and it's great. It's just so weird because the MCU has changed so drastically, and it's just... It's like, it's nothing like Ragnarok. It's nothing like, Infinity War, and it just feels so fucking weird. And I think it's stranger that it's Thor. It's honestly, like, because I think when the movie first came out, a lot of it's quite well written. It's quite, there's some emotional moments. There's a lot of weight to it. I like that. But I think watching it back after where the MCU is now, a lot of it comes off quite funny because Thor will, like, say something and he's, like, really angry and he's, like, shouting, and it's just, I can't help myself but laugh at it. Because it's like, that's not Thor. He's not like that. It's so strange. Like, he's really, like, he's speaking like he's in a fucking Shakespeare play. Like, it's so fucking weird. And I get that was the point at the time, but it's, I don't think it's aged very well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, it definitely hasn't aged as well, but I think at the time, I really liked Thor at the time, but, like, the MCU at the time was Iron Man 1 and 2 and The Incredible Hulk, and Thor was the next movie that came out.
Yeah, it fit him well when it first came out, I think.
So at the time, it's just like, they didn't really know what the MCU was yet. They were just trying to establish it. And this was their first dive into establishing space and that there are other worlds in the MCU. This is the first time they'd done it. So it actually, this movie has a big impact in terms of what it did at the time with the MCU. And having to introduce all these characters as gods and all the other worlds that are out there, and you expand a lot with that and how you connect it to human history. Like at the start, like that first scene, we've never left Earth in the MCU at this point, right? Like we've had these three movies, Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 1 and 2, and they start this movie off and they're on Earth, and you've got Natalie Portman's character Jane and her science group, and you just see this big aurora happen, and you're kind of like, okay, something to do with space. And then you get, so you're kind of where we're used to at that point in the MCU on Earth, there's nothing else, and then they introduce us and they have you know, that whole bit intro to the worlds and how the humans viewed them all as gods, Thor, Loki, and everyone as gods and whatnot. And Odin's obviously narrating that whole section. So it's a good like introduction where you have that narration explaining everything. It sets you up. Like it is kind of well structured in that way. Like it's a well structured movie.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours long, but it actually goes pretty quick. I remember watching it back. I'm like, wow, that went really fast. Like it covers a lot in 2 hours. Like it goes through a lot of stuff, and I think it was well paced and stuff. It's more just, I think the writing is a lot weaker because of what we have now.
Yeah,
You know
I think
what I
it's
mean?
I think
Like-
it's the like you said, I think the pacing's great, the structure's great. I don't think the writing's bad either. I think Thor is characterized well. I like his arc. I think Loki is brilliant, like he is in every movie that he's in. I think the way, you know, like the stuff with Thor, the way they set up Asgard and the Nine Realms is great. Thor is, you know, the way he interacts with people on Earth is entertaining because he's, you know, it's like it sort of is reminiscent of what Thor's like in later movies, where he's sort of just like, I don't know, it's you know, it's sort of comical and all that stuff is great. I just think it's weird to watch back. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it's so strange to watch back that I think some of the scenes that probably had a lot more weight at the time that were like, you know, meant to be really serious come off as funny because it's just so weird seeing Thor and Loki like genuinely shouting at each other with like, they're like really passionate, like angry at each other. It's just so fucking weird to watch, you know, in 2019. But
Yeah.
I still think that the structure and stuff holds up, and I think it's a well-paced movie. And I think it's a good time to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Like, I think it's better than Dark World in a lot of ways. Other than I think Loki's best performance to me, I think, is in Dark World. Like, he just runs that whole movie to me. Like, there's nothing else that really matters. That's a character piece movie for me, the Dark World, and it's just a Loki character piece. This plot doesn't matter, the story doesn't matter, Jane and Thor's relationship doesn't matter. It's just Loki's movie. And I think it's his best performance, his third and best performance, I think, in any of them, because he had the whole movie cut it to himself. And by that point, everyone knew how popular he was in the Avengers movie and the first Thor movie, so they just kind of like gave him so much to work with. Unfortunately, everything that surrounded Loki in that movie sucked. But Tom Hiddleston's performance in this is still incredible. Like the passion he has when he finds out that he's actually a frost giant.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, trying to get... that line where he's like, tell me, like the passion he has with Odin when he's arguing with Odin and stuff, like it's fucking it's good, man. It's very good.
Yeah, it is.
I just kind of like, there's a lot to love about this movie, but like you said, like it's just a weak movie purely for the fact that all the other the universe has become so much more established now, and there's so much more we know about it, and the plots are so much better, the films are so much better, that it makes it look like a weak movie with a weak plot. And the characters are odd because they kind of worked out how they'd fit him into the universe better, and they changed Thor's character completely. Thor in Endgame and Infinity War and even in the third Thor movie is nothing like he is. And part of it's his character development, the other part of it is they're like, it's not really working, let's try this instead. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things I think that... Like I think everyone else has obvious character development across the movies where you can see that they change. Like especially Tony, I think he's, you know, the one with the most character development where he changes the most, and you can tell that was the point, and like that it's sort of the strongest because he starts off one way, ends up another way, but you can see that transformation and the events that sort of mold him into what he becomes later on. With Thor, it's like they were trying to give him some character development there, and it sort of was going somewhere, but then they got to Ragnarok and they were like, let's just fucking do this with it, and it just became entirely different. And I think it's sort of, there's parts, like, it all sort of fits together. There's moments in, like, maybe in, like, Avengers or in, like, Thor Dark World where Thor will say things and he sort of feels like the Thor from the later movies. And there's times where like he'll say something in Infinity War or something, and it'll feel like the Thor from the older movies, and they sort of do that, but it is sort of just a bit different. I don't think it's necessarily a development. It was more sort of like they got to Ragnarok, they realized this wasn't working at all, and they needed to reinvent Thor, and they did it the best way that they could, and I think that's for the best, because Thor is much better than he used to be. And I think that's one of the things that makes Thor, the original Thor, so strange to watch now.
Yeah, like you said, like it doesn't necessarily hold up as well now. It fits in, but at the time, and I think for what it did, if you look at it as a standalone movie, it's like, well, it's not a bad movie at all, and
no,
it only is weird based on what you know about all the characters and story later on. But it had a lot of work to do at the time, and I think establishing those other worlds and space and all that existing, like it did a fine job doing so. I think the biggest flaw I have in watching it, and even at the time, is just the side characters kind of all suck on fucking, what's the fucking place called?
I don't know what you're talking about. I think all the side characters suck, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, like the Earth ones suck less than like Thor's mates from Asgard.
Sure.
I feel like the Asgardian side characters suck the most.
Lady Sif and the Warriors 3, my favourite characters.
Oh,
they're so epic. They all died. Sif didn't. She's somewhere else. But the Warriors 3, they're all dead now. They all got killed in Ragnarok.
God. Well, it's because Ragnarok, they're like, you guys suck. We're getting rid of you.
Yeah, just kill all of them. Yeah. Give them some new friends. Give them that rock guy and Valkyrie. Way better. Way better.
They're way better. Way better. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's my biggest fault in that whole movie is the side characters. I don't mind like the Earth side characters. They were okay. They were better than the Warriors 3 or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. The Warriors 3, I love them. So great.
And just the way they talk, like, it's Shakespeare and shit, like, And when Thor's like telling them like, oh, you should come, like at the start of the movie, those frost giants and you find out later Loki set it up, come and interrupt Thor's like inauguration. Mm-hmm. That's what it's called, right? Yeah. And the frost giants go to steal the Bifrost. That's what it is.
Is it?
And what are they taking? What's the big square?
It's
fuck, I've seen this movie 100 times.
It's just like that frost thing that Loki uses to freeze people. Hang on, let me Google it. Thor 1 cube of ice. I don't know. The casket of ancient winters. That's what it's called.
Oh my god, I've never heard that.
No, neither have I.
Anyway.
I haven't either.
Yeah. But anyway, once Thor's big development in this is pretty much like, he's a headstrong warrior. Thinks he knows better than everyone, and he's battle hungry, war hungry. He just wants to prove himself that he's strong, and so he wants to go fight the Frost Giants, and he's asking all his friends, and in that scene he's trying to get his friends together to disobey Odin and go to the Frost Giants world. It's kind of like the introduction. Each character is like, blah blah blah, whatever their names are. Who led you into battle of glory and and we drank and blah 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 blah. And they're like, you did. And he's like, that's right. And who did? Blah, blah, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like looking back on it, like it's so fucking funny.
It's so weird. It almost feels like a parody of Thor, but it's not. Like it's deadly serious. Like it's weird.
But at the time, like, it was good. Like, I really liked Thor when it came out. You know what I mean?
I don't remember. The first time I watched Thor was my first watching of all of the MCU in like 2015. Was the first time I watched Thor.
See, I watched Thor in cinemas, and at the time, like, I remember with the Avengers coming out, I was like, and it was a big deal with Thor in Australia because it was Chris Hemsworth. It was his first big Hollywood movie, and he was an actor famous in Australia, but he wasn't internationally famous. So it was like a big deal that one of the Hemsworth brothers got in this big movie, and so there was lots of press when they were filming it. Like even before the movie had come out, there was press like and stuff on lots of morning shows and things that Chris Hemsworth is working on a new Marvel movie. He's a superhero. So when it came out, I remember watching it. I remember going seeing the Avengers for the first time. I hadn't seen the first Captain America. I'd seen Iron Man 1, 2, Hulk, and Thor. And I was just like, where the fuck's Thor? I was just excited to see Thor for me. Like, he was my favourite going into that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he was a newer and he was an Aussie guy playing him. So at the time, I really liked the movie and I really liked Thor in general. Mm-hmm. But, a lot of things changed. I love Thor now. I love him a lot more now than I did then, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. I think, the first time I watched through Thor was obviously when I was watching in 2015, when I was watching all of them, and that was up to what was out at that point. It was beginning of 2016, actually. I think I was
so
watching
Civil War came out.
Civil War was the newest one, yeah. It was out, yeah. I think Civil War was out when I was watching all of the MCU movies, because I remember being in the cinema. And so when I watched Thor for the first time, I liked it. I remember liking it.
Was it me that convinced you to watch the MCU? Is that
yeah, because
Oh my
you can
God,
find
dude,
it you can find a podcast where you bring up the MCU, and I'm like, what the fuck is the MCU? And you explain the whole thing to me, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that these movies were all connected. I just saw loads of Marvel movies coming out all the time, and I'd seen some of them, but I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. I'll have to watch all of them, and so I did.
Dude, you owe me so much, eh? Kingdom Hearts, MCU. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro.
I know.
Get your life together.
Crazy.
What the fuck?
I can't believe I'd never seen the MCU before. That's just such a strange, it's a thing that I would really like. I don't know why I'd never seen it before, but yeah, I liked Thor when I watched it through the first time. I remember being into it and being like, this is cool. I like this, because I'd never seen it before, because I'd seen Iron Man. I think I'd only ever seen Iron Man and Iron Man 2. Or Iron Man 3. I think I'd seen the 3 Iron Man movies. I hadn't even seen Avengers or anything.
Because I knew you always loved Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so...
he was your favourite up until probably a month ago. He was your favourite.
Yeah, I think it was...
Or recently.
I think it was around the Infinity War time. I think I changed my mind, because it was when I was rewatching them, when I was like, wow, Captain America's fucking amazing. This is great. So I think I changed my mind there. But watching Thor for the first time was so different, because I'd only seen the Iron Man movie. So I was like, this is really cool. This is super interesting. I can't wait to see how this gets tied into... what Iron Man's story is leading up to, and the other Avengers. When the Avengers happened and Thor was in it, I was like,
so
this is really cool.
You'd seen the first Avengers movie, surely?
No, I'd never seen the first Avengers
wow.
movie. I know.
Wow.
I never used to go to the cinema very often unless it was for something, really big, and I wasn't into the Marvel movies and didn't know they were connected, really. So, yeah, I just never saw Avengers. I don't really know why.
Wow, that's insane.
But yeah.
It was such a big deal at the time when the first Avengers movie came out. Going to the cinemas and seeing that, I remember it was going in on the day it came out, and it was sold. Me and my mates went. I think it was 2012, so I was my last year of high school or something. I don't really remember, but it was a public holiday in Australia. I think it was Anzac Day or something, and we went to the cinema. But it was sold out. We bought tickets for 3 sessions later, went to the shopping centre, went to Macca's and stuff to buy some time, because the sessions were sold. It was just so fucking bad. Every session was sold out. Well, now you can't even get on there the first day. You have to book a month in advance. You want to go see Endgame. You know what I mean? It's
Jesus
crazy.
Christ.
Things have changed a lot in the last 7 years since the first Avengers movie came out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, it was a big deal, and the way they built that, and Thor played a big part, especially with the first Avengers movie, because Loki was the fucking villain in it.
Yeah.
And that was really, they'd already introduced space, so you knew going in that space was an element. So, Thor had a big role to play, especially setting up. Well, because, what the Avengers did, it had a space element to it, had Loki as the villain that was set up through Thor, but then that movie then set up Thanos, which has been the last 10 years, and we're watching right now in 2019.
Yeah.
So when you look back at Thor, as much as, it's changed and it's weird and it's definitely not up there in terms of MCU films, it did a lot for setting up at the time, and I think it did a good job. I'd say it did a good job for what it had to do. It was fine in that way. It told a story that was... You'd seen it before. There's a main character that's an arrogant guy and has a lot of strength, and he loses it all, and he has to rebuild it and get his strength back. But in that way, he also discovers being like a better person, and like there's more strength than the physical strength. There's also, you know, strength in kindness, emotional strength, mental strength. Like there's just, you know, there's a lot of learning curves. It's a story we've seen a million times in other things. Like it's nothing necessarily new, but it did what it needed to do for that character in setting up a big background, I guess, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That is definitely true.
What do you think? I don't think we've really ever talked about this, because obviously we'll talk about Loki and Thor's relationship and how that developed from not just this movie but beyond. But in this movie and Thor 2, The Dark World, what's your opinion on Jane and that relationship?
I think, I mean, for one, I don't really like
Natalie Portman.
No, I'm not Natalie Portman. No, I don't really have an opinion on her. I just don't really like her performance. As Jane, I think she can do good performances. I just don't think her performance is very good. I don't think the way they write comedy for her, I don't think fits her. I think the way she tells jokes is just, I don't know, it just comes off weird to me. I don't like it. It doesn't really fit with her character. And also, their relationship felt... I mean, I feel like the original Thor was going for a very Shakespearean vibe. That was, like, the point. And so, the love story is maybe a bit sort of odd in that regard. Like, how you've got right at the very end of the first movie, like, they're just sort of passionately kissing. It's like, I don't buy this at all. I don't really understand. Like, Thor is, like... How old is he at this point? He's, like, hundreds of years old, if not thousands of years old. Why is he, like... Why is he so, like, obsessed with this one human girl? Like, I don't understand. Like, it's so strange to me. So, I don't really buy their relationship, and I mean, for one, they dropped it because Natalie Portman didn't want to do it anymore. But, I mean, also, for the best, because I don't think that relationship was very good at all. I didn't buy it, and I don't know, it just felt so strange to me, so forced and weird. Like, they were trying to force it in, because it's in the comics and everything, and they were just like, I guess we need to do it. But it just didn't feel natural to me.
Yeah, I tend to agree, because I really like Natalie Portman as an actress.
Yeah.
I just thought the love angle here was just terribly mishandled with the characters. Like, Jane, she's a scientist. She's like this really smart person. And as soon as this like asshole jock shows up, she's just like cliche. Yeah. Admires him so much. Oh my God, like I need to clean up my... you don't have guests. Oh my God, he's really ripped. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, fucking weird.
What the fuck? The fuck? How embarrassing. It's just like the most like same old shit. You got this really smart, strong girl, but she's like, I'm really into this asshole, good-looking jock guy.
Yeah, it's
like,
weird.
Like,
she should
sure,
have
of course
been.
You are. But of course you are. That
they
makes
should have
sense.
written it so that she wasn't into him for the like. She almost was irritated by him, and that's then his arc then plays into his and her love story.
Exactly how
in
you
the
should
way
have handled
that is like as
exactly
he becomes a better leader, a better person, he's more selfless. Then Jane starts to show interest because she's like, oh, he's actually a good guy.
Yeah, because it makes you not like her. It makes you think she's just dumb.
Yeah.
She just likes him for his physical looks because she liked him before he was nice and liked him after he was nice in the same exact level. She didn't change the way she felt about him because he became a better person. She just liked him already because he was good looking and a god. That was it. Yeah. You know? It was just it's like... strange. Her character is kind of terrible. You know what I mean? It's a terrible character and a terrible love story. Like, yeah, you're right. If she was just irritated by him, if she was just, repulsed by him, but because he became a better person, like, she, kind of came to admire him for that way. Like, oh, wow, there's a real arc there that plays in together. Like, his arc imitates and plays into the love story arc, but it doesn't. They're separate things. He didn't earn that romance. It was just there. Yeah. And it was just... Yeah, it was... in fact, I think it's... I use the word terrible to describe the Thor and Jane relationship. Yeah. Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, great actors and everything. I like the characters. I like Thor fine. I like her fine separately, but they make her suck because of the way she has feelings for him. You know?
Yeah, it's like
and
she's
it would make more sense that Thor liked her because she's not into him when he's used to everyone being after him.
Yeah.
And that's why he would like this Earth girl as a 1,500-year-old, because everyone always loves him because he's Thor, God of Thunder. But this girl's not into him at all because he's just a jerk. So it doesn't make sense because he is a jerk and she likes him anyway.
He's just suddenly like, this one. Of all of the women, this one. For some, the one that will die long before I do. This
Yes.
one, I like this one. That I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's weird. It's really unbelievable. It's really badly written.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, not a fan of that at all.
Yeah.
Glad they got rid of that. Really glad.
Yeah, it just doesn't draw you in at all, and it makes you not admire her character at all. You think she's just kind of dumb for it, even though she's supposed to be really smart. So it's just kind of... Yeah.
It's weirdly written because she's written like, like it tells the audience, she's a scientist and she knows what she's doing, but then she just acts dumb. It's so strange. It's like she's acting dumb, yet the movie's telling us she's a really intelligent scientist. So like, why this? It doesn't add up. Her character's really weirdly, inconsistently written. Not a fan of that.
Yeah, for sure. What did you think of... Obviously, I wanted to... Yeah, I'm not going to say what do you think of, more just like... what are your thoughts in general from this movie and how it set up Thor and Loki's relationship? Because we know how, of course, that ends in Infinity War. And, throughout the Thor trilogy and the Avengers movies.
I think the Thor and Loki's relationship is complicated, not just like in terms of like the narrative, like the way the relationship is obviously clearly complicated. I mean, the way that it's written into movies, I feel, is complicated because you've got in the first movie, Loki. I mean, I don't really know what he's fucking doing. He's like trying to take over Asgard or something, but then like, you know that ending bit where the frost giant is going to kill Odin and then Loki saves him. Was that Loki's plan all along to bring the frost giants in, kill them all, and then win his father's favor and be like,
Yes.
now I'm gonna be king?
Yes.
So that was his plan. Okay.
That was his plan all along.
Okay, so
Great
that was
plan
his...
too. Like, I loved how his whole arc is so good. It's the best part of this movie, for sure.
Yeah, so in that movie, he feels like the classic Loki, like, the trickster. He's pulling all these tricks to, get what he wants. You don't really know whether you can or can't trust him and when he's telling the truth and when he's not. Which is great. I love all of that stuff. And his relationship with Thor, I mean, he tries to like stop Thor from coming home. That was really fucked. Like when he's like lying to him, saying like Odin's dead and everything, and trying to like be like, nope, you got to stay on Earth because Mother doesn't want you back. She's forbid it and everything. That was pretty well done and everything. I like that because that's pretty emotional for Thor, and that sort of sends his arc in motion as well because Thor sort of gets ripped down after already being banished and everything. And so I think that's done well, and I think it sets up their relationship pretty well, but I think it gets a bit strange after Avengers. I think that's the point where it gets a bit weird. Like, I love them together, and I think it's all great and everything, and when Loki dies in Infinity War, it's like, it's, well set up, and it's an emotional moment and everything, but, I mean, Loki tried to destroy Earth. I just find it weird. I mean, this is more talking towards like Dark World and stuff. I just find it weird that nobody cared enough that he did that, and he's just sort of around all the time after he tried to destroy Earth and kill everyone and like enslave the planet for Thanos, which to me is a bit weird. It's so like when I'm watching the first Thor and stuff, although it's all done well, I'm always reminded that in the future, Loki's still about, and he's still like, they just have random banter, and like he comes to Earth and like he's having banter with like humans, and it's like he tried to kill everybody. I don't know if that's something you've ever thought of, but
it's not something I've really thought about a lot, but I guess like Loki, I felt like his arc came full circle, especially the way it ended in Infinity War. Like, it made sense that he kind of he had a redemption arc, but he also got what he deserved in the same sense. Like, yes, he redeemed himself, but he kind of deserved what he got when it all comes down to it for everything he did. He paid the price while also redeeming himself. I loved that ending for him.
Yeah, yeah, I think
especially
I think that's
in the
true.
sense of he sacrificed himself for his brother in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think to me it's more a Dark World issue than anything. I think it's just weird that like
true.
Jane just like slaps him. Like, he tried to destroy Earth, and she just slaps him, and she's like, you dickhead. Like, it's just a bit weird, but that's a Dark World issue, I suppose.
But also it's Jane, who's the
it's also
worst
Jane.
character.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, who cares about Jay? Who cares about Jane?
Yeah, nobody.
Was this Tarzan?
Hopefully she got
get the
snapped
fuck outta here.
and stays
Yeah.
snapped.
Yeah, I hope so.
She's the only
Thor's
one they
probably having
don't
that too.
save.
Yeah. I think the big thing that I love about Loki and Thor's relationship is, they're not actually brothers, right? Like, they're not blood-related brothers, but they are brothers. They grew up together like brothers. They're brothers. And I just love how, their arc develops, and Thor always sees him like it's his brother, and loves him unconditionally. It doesn't matter. I understand that, as someone has a brother, you have a brother, that, yes, Loki did terrible things, and I understand why everyone else would hate him, but you understand why Thor will always forgive him, or will always have room to forgive him. You get that. So that always made sense to me, and I love that in the end, when the arc wraps, in this movie, Thor wants to save him in spite of everything he's done, and once he's redeemed and they're together and they're brothers that work together at the end of Ragnarok, and we go to Infinity War, and Loki, sacrificed himself for his brother. He would never have done that in those early stages. So I kind of loved how it was all written and kind of finished off at the end of it all.
Yeah. No, I do agree with that. I think it's a good payoff.
Yeah, but he's definitely the star of this movie, and as well the Dark World. I think Thor stole back that third Thor movie. Definitely, like Ragnarok. It was him. It was everyone was the star. You know what I mean? It was just such a well-written script, well-written movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I sort of loved all that. We have a question here from the Jackal from Patreon. So our patrons here get to leave us questions and comments and topics about the movies, by the way. Patreon.com/, as always, if you're not a patron already, just $1 a month. He said, we spend so much time arguing whether Steve Rogers or Tony Stark is the best character. In brackets, it's Stark. No, it's not. It's Steve, obviously. Obviously, idiot. That, I think we forget how great of an arc Thor himself has gone through. How do you guys feel about the overall character and the challenges he was presented? Does he come close to matching the top two?
No.
Does he come close?
No. I don't think so. I think that he's a great character in his own right, but I don't think his arc comes close to matching them, because he doesn't really have one. Because it sort of flip-flops around. Like, you've got...
Because they change it.
Because they change it midway through, yeah. Like, when they got to Ragnarok, it's sort of like, we don't really know what his arc is. Let's give him another one. Like, I love his story, and I love him as a character, but I don't think his arc comes anywhere near close to Captain America and Iron Man. I think their arcs have been so consistent from beginning to end that I don't think Thor really gets close. But in terms of, a character, yeah, he's he'd
Steve
be in my
and
top
Tony
three.
are also a lot more connected as in their plots as characters as well. To be fair, like, Thor's not like in amongst and they're all best friends with each other, because Thor's from a fucking another planet.
Yeah,
but
true. He's not about all the time.
But yeah, exactly. But Steve and Tony have a lot more of that connection to each other, and I guess that puts them ahead, and they have a lot more time. But yeah, I mean, Thor to me is probably third after Steve and Tony.
Yeah.
For me, is my favorites. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I love Spider-Man and stuff. I don't know. I love Thor too, though. Like, I love so many of these MCU characters. It's hard to pin. Like,
I thought you were saying I like Thor too, like the Dark World. Like,
oh no. Yeah. I love Thor: The Dark World a lot. It's the best movie.
Thor and the Dark World as well.
No, I just mean that it's hard to pick characters and stuff and what's your favorite. And Thor is a great character, but yeah, I mean, my favorite's Steve Rogers. It's Captain America, and Iron Man's probably second. But there's arguments for me of other characters could be second. I really like the Peter Parker of this universe. I really like Star-Lord as well. Like, there's a lot of characters that are up there for me. But it probably is, Steve and then Tony.
Yeah,
but Thor's definitely top 5.
Yeah, he's probably number 3 for me. He's probably number 3. Just because he's been around for so long, and so his story's kind of stretched quite a while. And he set up a lot with, like, Loki and then, like, the space stuff, and Thanos was a big part of that whole storyline. So I think he's number 3, but what is Thor's arc?
Well, it's more, his arc's more, in terms of the Asgardian, from the start where we meet him in the first Thor movie, he's a guy that is going to be king of Asgard, and he wants to be king. That's how we meet him. And he's just this headstrong warrior, trying to prove himself, thinking he deserves everything he's going to get, becoming king, to becoming the character that doesn't even want to be the king of Asgard ever in his life. But it's just, he has to take that on because it's his responsibility at the end of Ragnarok to look after his people. Even when Asgard has fallen, he's the guardian of his people. That's his arc in terms of as an Asgardian. And as an Avenger, it's just being a person that's willing to, be a guardian to all people, not just his own, but also, you know, people of Earth, and be a friend and work alongside the Avengers and defeat Thanos. Like, arguably, the main protagonist of Infinity War is Thor.
Yeah.
Arguably, you know what I mean? In terms of the character arc, and obviously Thanos is the main character of Infinity War, but he's also the antagonist of the movie. Whereas the protagonist, you've got Thor, who, sure, everyone else is getting ready to fight Thanos. Tony on Titan with his group, Steve at Wakanda with his group, but Thor's the one that's off like, no, I know how to defeat Thanos. He has his own journey where he's got to you deal with a certain adversity. He's the one that you start with at the start of the movie. He loses his people, he loses his brother, he loses his best friend. He then needs to recreate a weapon so he can defeat the main villain. And in the end, he's the one that comes in and saves the day at the Battle of Wakanda. And he's the one that almost defeats Thanos. Like, arguably, he's the main protagonist of the film. Arguably.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Him or, you know? So he
it's
has
a very
that sort of hero's
movie.
arc.
I'm pretty sure Thor has the most scenes other than Thanos, right? He's like the Avenger with the most scenes is Thor. Something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Him or Tony. And, you know, Tony has his own arc for lots of reasons with why, you know, he's the main protagonist. Iron Man's arguably the other one. Like, it's either Thor or Tony, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
a bit of both, yeah.
Protagonist. They're the main two for sure, but they have their own arcs that they're dealing with. Whereas Thor's probably the more traditional hero of it, whereas Tony has, like, just the kind of deeper, more character-driven longevity stuff. That, you know, spreads throughout the whole MCU that's led to this with Thanos, whereas Thor's kind of like, let's structure Infinity War. Who is the bigger hero of this movie standalone by itself? It's probably Thor.
Yeah.
You know, and fair play to him for that. So there is a bit of an arc there, and he plays a big role, and he'll play a big role in Endgame. And I love that it is, you see in the latest trailer, you know, spoilers, people haven't seen the latest trailer. But, you know, it's Tony, Steve, and Thor that are facing off against Thanos. Together, they're the three main Avengers. They're the three big guys. Like, it's exciting, and I love all three. And, you know, Thor has an arc, plays a big role. It's just not as connected as, you know, Steve and Tony's is intertwined together. So I think, sometimes he's forgotten about. Sometimes he falls short in that way.
That's fair. That is fair.
Even though, like you said, he got the most screen time in Infinity War, other than Thanos. So it is weird when you think about it.
Yeah, true.
And he connects so much. He connects that space element and Earth element. And even in Infinity War, when Guardians of the Galaxy, the main space group of the MCU, who connects the Avengers and him and them? It's actually Thor. Thor plays a script role in terms of connecting the space world and the Earth world in Infinity War, and he was also the one to do it in just MCU as an audience with his first movie in general, the first Thor. So he does play a big part
character.
Structurally. Yeah, great character. Yeah, he's great.
He is.
But I don't think he comes close to top, but he's not top two. It is, for sure. We've got lots of other questions and thoughts. I did want to also mention the overall impact that Thor has on MCU is it also introduces Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah. It does.
It does. It's the first time we see Clint.
That's true, yeah. That's interesting.
It is an interesting introduction to him, too. Like, that's actually one of my favourite scenes of the movie, when Thor, he's immortal, he gets to Earth, and he hears that his hammer's there. He's like, I'm going to go get my hammer, I'll get my powers back. And then he can't get it. That whole scene, and it's the connection to the overall MCU we're used to now, that S.H.I.E.L.D.'s there, Coulson's there, and I fucking love Coulson. And you get that Thor trying to get his hammer, and Clint's there. And then when he's captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. and Coulson interrogates him, Loki shows up to tell him, father's died, and father's said you're banished forever, and I just wanted to come say goodbye to you. And you know what I mean? That whole 15 minutes section is probably the best part of the movie for me. There's so much going on there. So much going on there. And I thought Hawkeye was a great little introduction. And then it kind of makes more sense when you see him and he gets a real proper input in the first Avengers movie. But yeah. Tell you who's one of the most underrated characters? Clint. What a fucking great character he is.
You think so?
I love Clint.
I thought you didn't.
I love him. You know what? I've rewatching the MCU recently. I love him a lot.
I like him too.
I don't remember ever saying I didn't like him. I don't remember saying I didn't like him. I just kind of thought he was maybe forgettable. Or maybe
Someone
just like,
find
oh,
a
whatever.
clip where Tyler's like, oh,
yeah,
you know what I don't care about?
Please.
Fucking Hawkeye. What a shit character. Sorry, I don't know what that was.
Yeah. No, what a shit character. I don't think I ever said that. That's something I would have said like about Vision, which I stand by still.
Yeah. Okay.
Fuck Vision. So
Vision's
boring.
great.
But rewatching the MCU recently, I'm just like, you know what? I fucking love Clint. He's like so Age of Ultron. Like I loved his storyline in that movie. I think he's great. I can't wait to see him in Endgame. I really missed him, and him in Age of Ultron and in Civil War is so good. I just love his character. He's a fucking badass, and he's always like, you know what? Fuck authority. I do what the fuck I want. I kind of love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I wish I knew why he could shoot arrows so well. It's very interesting. Yeah. They sort of just do what he wants. Does he have superpowers? I don't think he does. He's just sort of really good with a bow and arrow.
Yeah, but it's the same as Black Widow.
True, but his is a bit more weird.
Dude, I'd watch a Hawkeye movie straight up.
I'd watch a Hawkeye
I'm
movie.
ready for that.
They could do like John Wick, but it's Hawkeye.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could do a Mission Impossible movie, but it's Hawkeye.
Yeah, they could do anything, but it's Hawkeye.
Yeah, but it's
just
Hawkeye.
Shooting arrows.
But because I'm like, I love Black Widow as well. Like, she's a great character. I can't wait for a Black Widow movie. Yeah. She's long overdue. She deserved her own movie long before Captain Marvel or any of these other characters they're doing.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Scarlett Johansson, like, that's actually something interesting my mum says. My mum hates Scarlett Johansson. Hates her.
Oh, really?
Just thinks she's trashy and just, trashy bitch. But she goes to me, she goes, I love Black Widow. I'm like, but Mum, you hate Scarlett Johansson. She's like, I know, this is the only thing I've ever really liked her in. She's really great. I'm like, I know, right? And I'm like, well, she's getting her own movie after Endgame. Would you watch that? She goes, yeah, I'd watch that. I'm like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's something. But like, yeah, Black Widow, I'm excited for that. And I'd love to see Hawkeye get his own movie. Or maybe his, on the Disney Plus thing.
Yeah.
That'd be good. But yeah, I loved it. He had a good introduction in Thor. Let's have a look at some of the other Patreon questions we got, James. We've got something from Fat Fuck Cuck. Great name. Love it. What's your opinions on the blonde eyebrows? Distracted me the whole movie.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. Once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. It's so fucking weird. I don't know why they did that. It's so strange. I'm glad they don't do that anymore.
Oh, they really said fuck it with everything with Thor. They even got rid of his hair, which is such a staple for Thor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Thor has long blonde hair. They're just like, you know what? Thor's kind of gay.
Yeah.
Let's just, have Chris Hemsworth.
Gay.
Let's just, have it be Chris Hemsworth, who's a god. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, that's better. And it's worked out a lot better.
Yeah, way better. Yeah, I don't really... Yeah, a lot of what Kenneth Branagh was doing on the original Thor was very Shakespearean, because, he does a lot of that stuff. And so, yeah, I guess part of that was dyeing Thor's eyebrows. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird one. I'm glad they stopped that. I'm surprised they've never made Thor wear the hat. The Thor hat.
Oh, yeah, they never...
the comics.
Are you sure they haven't ever done that?
They've never done that.
Not even in,
I don't think so.
At the start, in the first scene, he's in at his inauguration. He's wearing a hat.
My God, is he? I don't remember this. Thor
surely.
Opening scene. That's not going to give me the right scene, is it? Oh my God, yeah, with the wing things on his hat. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, you should wear that more often. Put that on in Endgame.
Oh God,
that'd be nice.
And he's got a helmet in Ragnarok, but it's it's a way better helmet.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, what's the next question? Oh yeah, from Mass the Bass 2434. Just wondering, how do you pronounce the name of Thor's hammer?
Oh, Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
Yeah, the right way. The way it's pronounced.
Yeah. Mjolnir. Yeah. I don't think there's any other way to pronounce it. That's how you pronounce Thor's hammer.
That's it, yeah.
I wonder how you pronounce it, Mass the Bass.
Yeah.
Mass the Bass.
Master Bass.
Master Bates. We have another one from Snow, who said Loki standalone film? ?
Oh, well, they're doing a series, aren't they?
Yeah.
On Disney Plus.
Would you prefer a film, or are you happy with a Disney Plus series for Loki?
Honestly, I don't need either, but I guess don't clog the movies up. If you're going to do something with Loki, because, I mean, Loki's dead. He's not coming back, right? We don't think he's coming back.
No, I don't. It'd be like his past adventures.
Yeah, exactly. In which case, do it as a series. I don't really want to clog up movies with dead characters' stories like that isn't relevant to the future of the MCU. So do a
that
series.
Makes sense.
That's better
You're
to
right.
me.
I think you're right. Movies should only be what's happening in the future.
Yeah, if it's relevant
sure.
to the future of the MCU, then give us a movie. If not, then throw it in a series because I don't need.
But not all series need to not be relevant. Like a Falcon series, I'd love for that to be a follow-up. You know what I mean? Like, because I love Falcon as a character, and once Cap's not around, like I'd love to still see him around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he doesn't necessarily. We don't need a Falcon.
And I'd
movie,
still
but
love to
see.
I don't need a Falcon movie, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Winter Soldier Falcon duo movie. That would be. I'd be okay with that.
Potentially, yeah.
If they just did like a Winter Soldier movie, that's just the Winter Soldier maybe.
But he's not the Winter Soldier anymore. He's the White Wolf.
Yeah, okay. Well, the White Wolf movie then. I don't care.
Okay.
Whatever. Or
that's better.
They do Captain, or he becomes Captain America. You know what I mean? Like
potentially.
If Bucky became the next Captain, which, yeah, I mean, if someone has to, it's better than them, recasting any someone else. You know what I mean? I'd rather just be Bucky, and then you can at least have Sam with him as well. Because I do love the two of them together. They're kind of like, because they're Cap's sidekicks essentially in the films, especially in Civil War, and then I love their meeting and connection you get, because you've got the current modern day best friend in Sam and the past best friend in Bucky, and when they're fighting Spider-Man, and it's just like, you couldn't do that earlier. I hate you. Like I love their sort of shit talk, and I would love to keep seeing them together, whether it's in Disney Plus or standalone. But Loki and those guys, those are the ones I'd want to see. Is there any other ones you could think of just as a TV series, not necessarily a movie?
Oh, well, I mean, they're doing Scarlet Witch, which I'm interested in, because I think she deserves a bit of spotlight.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch a Scarlet Witch movie, though. But a TV series, I would.
TV series, I would, but not a movie. I don't think that's necessarily necessary. Okay. But yeah, I mean, other characters, I can't think of many. There's not many other side characters. They're sort of doing them all. Like, they're doing a Black Widow one.
They're not doing a Hawkeye one, but I'd rather see a Hawkeye
but I would
movie.
like to see that. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
But it depends what his fate in Endgame is. If it's not good,
oh no,
you could that would suck. That would really suck.
I hope not.
Isn't it funny when you've got all these superheroes now in the MCU? There's like 20 different superheroes.
Yeah.
In the original Avengers, when you think of the original six, you've got Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor, who are like the most powerful superheroes in the Avengers, and then you've got just two spies.
Yeah.
They're like the six Avengers. You know what I mean? It's Black Widow and Hawkeye. I love them. The original six are the best. I fucking love the OG six. And I love that they get the spotlight of Endgame, since it's this is the last Avengers movie of the original Avengers. Yeah. Any of the future ones will be, it'll be Spider-Man, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, that sort of crew. But yeah, I don't know. Would you want a Hulk TV series? Would that be alright?
No.
Okay,
no,
sorry.
I wouldn't
Jesus
want that.
Christ,
no,
sorry.
that sounds horrible.
Not with Mark Ruffalo?
No.
Okay. Jesus, sorry.
I feel like Hulk works better when he's working alongside someone, because if you just have a raging green monster, it's pretty boring, I think. I think that's difficult to tell a good story with. When he's just, Bruce Banner, you can do some stuff, but then it gets a little bit boring because you're like, I kind of want to see Hulk. And then when he turns into Hulk, you're like, oh yeah, I mean, that was fun for 5 seconds. Yeah,
I think the best Hulk movie ever is Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just keep sticking him with Thor. I'm more than happy to, have. I mean, I'd love to see when they do, like, in terms of the original 3 Avengers, I'm okay with Cap and Iron Man going, in terms of it makes sense as a story. What I really want to see in terms of the one I'm not okay with leaving is Thor. I think they've finally nailed Thor, and I'd love to see more Thor movies.
Yeah,
I'd love a Thor Rocket movie. You know what I mean? With a Guardians Thor crossover film. Like, and I'd happy for you to keep sticking Hulk with Thor. That's fucking, would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be great. Another one from Josh Gleason. He goes, I know I'm going to get a ton of shit for this. Oh, okay, I'm worried about this. But the 3 Thor movies, but out of the 3 Thor movies, the first is my favourite because in my opinion it's the best showcase of Thor, the Marvel superhero, and not Chris Hemsworth dressed up as Thor, not counting Infinity War. Loved him in that. What I mean is the growth of the character, i.e. being a selfish, cocky brat at the beginning and being humbled but stronger by the end. Also, I feel as if the humour flows a little better. It certainly shows it's aging a bit, but at least it's not forced down your throat like Ragnarok, okay? Last but not least, Loki is the most sadistic and interesting in the first movie. I feel though still hanging on to his trickster side. Sorry for the novel, gents. Had lots of thoughts. Love your podcasts. Keep up the great content.
Yeah, look.
What do you think about that?
I disagree, but I get where he's coming from.
It makes sense. Yeah, I get what he's saying.
I get where he's coming from. I think Loki's strongest performance, one of his strongest performances, should I say, is in the first Thor movie. I think that it's really great. I love that he's like just a proper trickster and like, you know, he doesn't really care for anyone else. He's just trying to get what he wants by tricking everyone, and I think that's done really well.
And he does the double agent, you know, working for the Frost Giants, but actually just so he can kill the Frost Giants.
I love that. And I think that Thor's arc in that movie is great. I love the way he starts off as a complete cunt, and then at the end, you know, he's a proper hero. I like that stuff. That's good. It's always good to have a nice little redemption arc. It's fun. So I get it, but I mean, in terms of comedy, I mean, the point of Ragnarok is a comedy movie at heart. That's the point of it.
And it's so good.
It's great. So good.
Ragnarok
is
such a fucking good movie.
I think that I get it. I mean, sometimes it maybe pushes comedy over where you could have had like, you know, an emotional moment or something. But I think it takes its time to do those moments, those moments like where Thor's fighting Hela and like he loses his eye. You've got the stuff, you know, where he becomes sort of like the king, and they do meaningful moments in Ragnarok at the same time as also having a lot of comedy. I wouldn't like every Marvel movie to be like that, but I think it worked really well for what it was. And I mean, I get what you're saying, but I disagree. But Thor is still a very good movie. I think
Thor's the second best Thor movie. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, definitely, because the Dark World is not good. So that not much else to say on that, I think.
Yeah, fair play. I agree with you. Craig McCraig said, we've seen Thor have his ups and downs through the MCU, but Loki has been a constant gem of each movie he's in. Would you guys like more recurring villains in the future MCU, and if so, which ones?
Yes.
So are there any villains of the past you'd like to see come back in in later movies?
I'd like. Do you know what? Well, I mean, for Spider-Man at least, you know, they've got to do reoccurring villains for Spider-Man because that's sort of how it works. And they sort of set that up with Vulture at the end and Scorpion.
Oh, and I think Michael Keaton's fucking amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Vulture's one of the best MCU villains there is. He's one I'd love to see recurring.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if he's not always bad, like he has his good moments where he'd be working with the good guys. Just, you know what I mean? Because he's not... Like at the end of Homecoming, you see that, you know, he could have revealed his identity, but he didn't. Yeah. So like he's a good man that's just does bad shit for selfish reasons, you know what I mean? Like he's a family guy. Yeah, it's definitely one I'd love to see return is Vulture and, you know, probably future Spider-Man villains, because I mean that's sort of like a thing of Spider-Man is he doesn't defeat his villain then it just never shows up again. Like he sort of has that relationship with all of his villains. It's sort of like what Spider-Man has. And so I would like to see returning Spider-Man villains. I think that's a sort of a thing they have to do. Other than that, I can't really think of any other villains that are major that I would like to see return. I don't know. I can't think of any other ones. I mean, they got Red Skull came back in Infinity War. Not really in the same way that Loki did, but that was interesting. He's actually a solid villain. He's underrated, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Red Skull's a huge villain in the comics.
Yeah. But again, that whole movie he's in is underrated. The Winter Soldier's treated like shit compared to what it really is, you know?
Yeah, you mean the First Avenger?
First Avenger, oh yeah, Winter Soldier, yeah.
It's great.
Top 3, top 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arguably the best. Sometimes I go back and forth and I might be like, Winter Soldier might be better than Civil War, like, but yeah, they're both the two best anyway, but yeah. That's nothing to do with Thor or what we're talking about.
No.
Recurring villains, I don't know. I was thinking about this the other day. I went through a list someone did of like they ranked all the MCU villains, and I was thinking of all the best ones. And I mean, the Winter Soldier's one of the best ones. He has one of the best arcs, but he's a good guy now, so he can't be a recurring villain.
Yeah.
Thanos, well, he is a recurring villain. He's about to get his second movie, and he's been teased for years.
Yeah.
Who else is a good villain? I wouldn't mind seeing the guy from Civil War, the Sokovian dude, come back.
Who?
The Sokovian dude that, pitted all of the Avengers against each other. Seriously, you don't know.
Who? What?
Civil War. The main bad guy.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Zemo.
Yeah, Zemo. He's alright.
Yeah.
I liked his plot. In terms of film writing, he's a very well written character.
What would he do, though?
I don't know. He could just work with another villain, you know what I mean? In terms of being a bit of a brains. And he was special for Sokovian Special Forces as well. He was actual a soldier and shit.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah,
he wasn't just
that.
some piss weak motherfucker. There was one more I was thinking of. Not just... I'd love to see Killmonger come back, even though he died. But he was one I really liked.
I would love to see Killmonger come back, even though he died. Yeah. Same.
I just mean I really like Killmonger. He was a great villain.
Yeah, it's a shame they killed him. Because now they got to bring another villain in. Who's going to be the next villain in Black Panther 2? Because it won't be called that. It'll be called Black Panther Subtitle. What will they call it? What are they going to do with Doctor Strange 2? What are those subtitles going to be? I can't wait to find out.
Who was the villain in Doctor Strange?
Oh, it was what's the actor's name? Guy that plays Galen Erso in Rogue One. And then it was Dormammu
really?
Was the sort of final villain.
It was Dormammu.
And then
what an average fucking movie that was. Oh, God.
I mean, the villain of the second one's going to be Mordo, which will be interesting because he was he was Doctor Strange's mate in the first one, and now he's become horrible in the post-credit scene. So I guess he'll be the villain in Doctor Strange 2. And that's cool. Sure. Maybe he could become reoccurring because he's a big character in the comics. So maybe he could show up again. Maybe he won't get fully defeated in Doctor Strange 2. But they'd have to make him a bit more interesting because I don't like him that much. He's just sort of fine.
Yeah. He's definitely not all that interesting right now.
Yeah, that's about it though. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just checking. I think we might have covered all of the questions.
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Yeah. I think we've covered all the questions and comments on Thor. Was there any other stuff you want to talk about with the first Thor movie, James?
No, I don't think so. I think we went over everything. I'm not sure there's much else.
Yeah. No, I'm happy with that. Thor, solid, great movie that does a lot for the MCU.
Yeah.
Thor. Go watch Thor if you haven't already.
Go watch Thor in theaters now. Go watch Thor.
Go watch it.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Proper 12 Irish whiskey. People that don't listen to us all the time won't get that at all. Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's wrap this motherfucker up then, James.
All right.
Another Cinema Room podcast. We do need to work out so the next episode will be our Patreon decided movie, which will be Martin Scorsese film. I'll put up the poll for that soon. It might be up already by the time this comes out on Patreon and publicly for sure. And then after that, it's Endgame.
Whoa, crazy.
So I'm trying to think. Okay, actually, it's crazy. Don't say
it. It is a little bit. It is a little bit crazy.
Yeah. So this comes out on the 7th on Patreon and the 14th publicly.
Yeah, next one will be 21st, 28th.
So
that means Endgame
by the time it comes out
of May.
Okay, this is my idea. Hear me out here. And when I say hear me out here, I'm like, this is what we're going to do, James.
Okay.
About this because we have no choice.
Okay.
I don't want to wait to release a podcast about Endgame to the public 2.5 weeks after it comes out.
Yeah.
Even for Patreon, I don't want that Patreon to have to wait. How about this? On the 21st, our Scorsese film Cinema Room comes out on the 21st. And then during that week, Endgame comes out. And then on the Sunday, the Scorsese film comes out. How about this? That comes out all the same as how it's supposed to. Our next episode. But we released the Endgame episode on Monday the 29th on Patreon and publicly at the same time to everyone. It's just a bonus episode. Everyone gets it at the same time. It's just we released it to the public on the Monday. On the 28th, we released the Scorsese film to the public. 29th, because we can't release episode 9 before episode 8 comes out to the public. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how about we just do Endgame and put it out to everyone at the same time? It's just a bonus episode. Doesn't interrupt any of the releases. Everything will stay the same. It's just a bonus one we do because it's fucking Endgame.
Yeah.
And we can't not... You know what I mean? This is a special occasion.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's just... It's not early for Patreon this time. It's not... It's just a bonus episode that everyone's going to get. Everything else stays the same. There'll still be another new episode the following week on Patreon, which will be another movie. But Endgame, the 29th, Monday, of April, comes out to everybody.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we'll do that.
Let's do that. Amazing.
Yep, cool.
I love it.
Great.
All right.
Epic. Not as good as
epic.
Thor, though. Not as good as Thor. But, you know, maybe close. We'll see.
Maybe close.
All right, yeah. Well, thanks everybody so much for listening to this Cinema Room Spoilercast episode on Thor, the first Thor. If you enjoyed it and you're thinking, wow, that was amazing, I would like more of it and I would like it earlier, then you can get that over at patreon.com/as always for just $1 or more, depending on how much you'd like to support us. It helps us power this podcast and our other podcasts moving forward. It's great. Thank you all so much. To thank our Patreon producers first, we've got King Richard III, Ikraik, Seth, and Josh Devillier. Thank you all much for continued support as our Patreon producers. But to thank everybody, we have again King Richard III, Ikraik, Seth, Ballsack47, Josh Devillier, Damian, Bill the Team Tynamite Captain Robertson, Tman or Travis, KEMOSABE, Gamer, Casey Wood, Adam Sundling, Alfie Rowsell, Jamie the Gamer, Smexy Dork, Lumistrad, Mario5380, Layla Out, Viridian, Pink Flame 313, ArunWyn, Fuck Cuck, Neeb, Brendon or BQ Overlord, Ravjai, Julie, Prudhvi Muvva, Oscar, James and Lad, Durose Bully in the Alley, Zahir, Gene, Son of a Bitch Ogeaidogo, Lauren, Dammit Glenn, Furious Coco, the ACMJS, Delta R. Rodriguez, Kassassin, Kyle, Sandor, S-Jaws, Kyle Marvel, Marcus Blackburn, Emil Katborg, Joshua Mora, Ginko Swag, Andrew Katona, Master Bass 2434, Joe the Sexy Boi Smith, Elstico 91, HBots12 I got Lumbago, The Real Jaw Raptor, Alfie Rodbert, Brian Ford, Casper, Milk Boy, Fishy or Ethan, and Andrew Martinez. Thank you all so much for continued support over on patreon.com/as always. It means a lot. You're all epic and also very nice and good. Anyway, that's it for this one. We'll see you later in a week for... Depends where you're listening to this. We'll see you in a week for... What's coming up in a week? Where the fuck are we? Clubhouse?
It depends where you are. If you're listening on Patreon, next week's Clubhouse. If you're listening on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, it'll be Kill Connor Club next week. Nice. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. Which will be episode 98. 8. Yeah, no, 98.
No, 98? Oh, okay, shit. Fuck. Okay. Epic. Alright, good.
Yeah. Sick and good. We'll see you next time. Film connoisseurs, best say gamers. Film connoisseurs.
See you later, film connoisseurs. Really appreciate it. See you later.